Welcome, dear potties, to True Tall Tales, where reality takes a detour into the realm of the most unbelievable. I'm your host, Sonny Boy, here to whisk you away on a journey through the mind-bending stories you've ever heard. And today, potties, hold on to your hats because we've got a guest like no other. Hailing all the way from the vibrant streets of Vancouver, she's the epitome of the coolness personified. Picture this: rollerblades, discman, tunes, and a joint in the hand. Talk about a walking, or should I say, rolling masterpiece of awesome. Our paths first crossed on the sun-kissed sands of Bondi Beach a whooping 15 years ago, and let me tell you, potties, it was like destiny wrapped in a quirky package. Fast forward to my Canadian venture, and she's there to rescue me from the depths of confusion. None other than our own real-life Veronica Mars, the one, the only, Tess.
For me.
Thank you so much for coming on True Tall Tales podcast all the way from Vancouver. I know it's late there. I think it's about 11 p.m. there. So thank you. You know, it is hard to do these interviews when, bizarres me, when everyone lives in a different country around the world and how there's time differences. It's just like a whole nother world. But thank you for being on the show. As I said, Tess was someone that helped me out when I moved to Canada. I think it was back in 2019. She was my Veronica Mars. We're not going to get into that story, but I did move in with someone who was frauding me. And just a quick little true tall tale from me. Before I got to Canada, I messaged Tess and said, hey, could you please see if this apartment in Yaletown exists where I'm moving into? I've already paid my $3,000 or $4,000 bond, whatever it was. Yes?
I went by there today. It's on my bus route.
Oh, you did? You went past? Oh.
Almost every day I go by on my way to the club and I'm like, that is the place.
That is the place. And I before I moved to Canada, I was moving over there to, you know, go for my dreams of being an actor in Vancouver with an agent that I had over there. That's why I was moving. And the Canadian girl that I was moving in with, not that we're going to get into this story, but I'm just telling you what Tess did for me, is she sent me a message after I paid my bond in PayPal and was fine. By the way, I've also had video calls over Skype with the girl that I was moving in with. So she was real. It did look like Vancouver. And she messaged me and said, hey, I've lost my wallet on the weekend. If I transfer money into your PayPal, could you book me a flight from Vancouver to New York? And I've never had anyone message me that before. And I'm like, red flag, red flag. So I called Tess and I was like, Tess, my housemate is asking me to book a flight for her from Vancouver to New York. Is that weird? And then you said, wait, is she asking money from you? I'm like, no, she's going to give me money. So that's a bit that I found weird. It's not as if she's trying to rip me off. It is weird that she's trying to get me to book her a flight. What? She doesn't have a partner or a friend or a family member that can do it for her? Like, why the new housemate from Australia? So then I said, Tess, who become my Veronica Mars, I said, hey, could you see if this place really exists? And she's like, okay. And I'm like, because I don't want to get there, paid all this money, and it's one of those stories that you hear where it's not there. And I did say to Tess, I remember seeing palm trees outside the window on Skype. Like, I've really looked into this. And I think you went there to give me a postcard.
I did. But also, didn't you mail something? Or, did you mail something to the address? Or, did I mail something to the address for you or something to see if it would make it? I think you did.
To see if
I think I did. I think I mailed something and then it didn't get returned to sender. But also, I did go by the apartment, and it's real. It is a real apartment. But I went through that situation with my sister when I tried to move to Copenhagen, quote unquote, back in 2012. And I was scammed because it was a real apartment building, but the photos they had used were stock images. And so that was what the thing I think you were sketched about and stuff as well, because the apartment building was real. But the thing that was sketchy was the fact that she was asking you to do these weird things in the meantime. Which is weird. Why would an Australian citizen with an Australian card or whatever need to pay for a flight between Canada to the US? So
Correct,
it did seem a bit sketchy, but then it did turn out to be sketchy, but continue.
Yes, but that's a whole other story, which I will be talking about in an episode, how in the first week I moved to Canada, how I got frauded. Tess helped me in the first week. We're not going to get into it because it is a very, very long story. I ended up doing a stakeout with the detectives from Vancouver. That's why I'm saying the story goes for that long. That's why I started this podcast, because shit just happens to me all the time. So that will be an episode on this podcast of how I got frauded. But there's not enough time for this episode because it's all about Tess and her story. So, Tess, what true tall tale have you got for me and the listeners for today?
Okay, I have kind of like one small one that's just funny. So
Yes.
recently, okay, I am not a boyfriend gal. Like I'm not very good at dating, and like I'm good at dating, but I also have no patience with men, and I'm quickly over the situation. So I've been
Okay.
on. I'm not good on dating sites. Like I just feel like I would if you know me, Sonny. So like
Yes.
I feel like what if you were to swipe on my profile as authentic as I can possibly make it, you're still not going to be able to get my context of talking or like my level of like I don't know cynicism or like I have no patience. I don't know. I have no patience with many things. So especially with like dudes, I'm not going to give you 10 chances or something, you know? So I feel like I don't come across well in dating apps. And I also realize that many dudes do not come across well in dating apps as well. And especially the kind of guys that I like. I like dudes that are like rough around the edges, a bit ugly, a bit traumatized, a bit fucked up, but they are usually nerdy and weird and socially awkward until you get to know them. So for me, I know that the guys that I have dated in my past and really enjoyed and had great times with, no complaints, no hard feelings, those guys are going to do so shitty on dating apps. And then I realized that I am like charismatic in person, but I cannot come across properly on a dating app. How egotistical is it to say of yourself, I'm fun, I'm great to talk to, I'll entertain you, I'm awesome to go in any situation. Like just saying that about myself would be fucked. So I'm like, how do you convey yourself in that way? Instead of being like, I'm a party girl, well, I'm not a party girl, but I'm fun in social situations.
Correct.
But I can equally just sit on a beach and read a book by myself. But if I write on my profile, love to sit by myself and read by the beach, that's not my only interest. That's actually something that I want to do because I work in hospitality and I hate fucking people after work. But on my day off, I want to be around my friends and socialize, go to a workout class, do something. So it's hard to I just feel like dating apps are just so fucking hard. And now there's these prompts where it's like a voice prompt or like a video prompt, and then they want you to make a video of yourself, which
Oh.
I get in both ways. And it's like add a voice note to this conversation or like this, you know, what was your craziest story or tell two truths and a lie. And I'm like, oh my God, this is
What
so
app is
fucking.
this? It sounds really. This is not Tinder.
I think it's Hinge. I'm not really on. I don't really check them often. I usually do it when I'm like a little bit drunk and horny and feeling depressed. So I'll like go and I'll check out my profile. How many likes do I have? What's happening here? A little check in. But then I'm like, oh my God, it's like I'm not conveying myself well, so no wonder the responses are what they are. But then what are you supposed to do? Add a voice prompt. I love talking. What am I gonna say? Well, my brother's a homeless person, and my sister has a baby, and my mom's whatever. Like all my stuff. Like, am I just gonna tell a voice note of my whole fucking dramatic story of who I am, just
Yeah.
so that they can like weed through my profile, which is what I would do. I don't know. But then also people that have trauma and have like a good experiences are usually the funnest in person. But if you have the opportunity to read that almost on like a dating resume before you interview them, you would just be like, no, no.
What? And it's so funny you say that because just to add context, it's like I don't use Facebook. I don't think anyone uses Facebook anymore. As soon as parents got introduced to Facebook, everyone got over it. But do you know when someone on Facebook writes like you know how you write a thing on your page, but it's like so long about something that's just like, and I can't sleep because of this, blah, blah. And it's just like, bro, and it makes you just like despise that person and find them annoying. Like, why are you writing so much? And who's this message for? Like, what? Like, as soon as social media got created, it's like everyone has a voice. And I know everyone does have a voice, but you just don't have to talk about everything online. You know what I mean? And if you don't
has
like
a
it,
good voice or a good perspective, and not everyone wants to hear about it, dude. Like
I know.
everyone wants to hear about Jennifer Aniston's hot take on something, because Jennifer Aniston is dope, funny, intelligent, single in her 50s, and a Hollywood star. Nobody wants to hear about your shit Kim Kardashian anymore. I'm telling you, we don't fucking care.
Oh, that's so funny. Anyway, back to your dating app. So you're so right. This is interesting because a lot of people can relate to this where you're selling yourself, and you don't want to write everything because then you look like that person on Facebook. So how are you being authentic, isn't it?
So this is a struggle always for me because I'm really authentic in person. So the people that I always give weird chances to pretty, like what other people would probably say pretty fugly dudes. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. If they're too hot, I'm like, no, no, no. So I've gone on a few since about like January, February. I've gone on I've gone on dates with 3 different dudes, and some of them have gone to like 2 or 3 dates, but some of them have gone never past the first date. The guy that I went on 3 dates with, super funny. Like we had such great chats talking to each other through the texting and everything, right? We went to like numbers right away because I was like, we just had like a really stimulating energy via text. Met up in person, and I was pretty gassed up too. Like I had shared a bit about my past, and like really had been like, yo, you know what? This is my day off, and it's 2 p.m. I'm going to be having a beer. I'm a server. So, like, this is what's going to be happening. We're going to a movie. We were going to the migration movie. It's like Bert.
The car, I haven't seen it yet, but George said it's good. Yeah.
So, it's so fucking good. And lucky for George and Jess and stuff, because people have kids get to see those animated movies. Yeah. Quiet him. But so I love animated movies, and I love animals, dude, and I love birds especially. And this one, I already knew the trailer made me cry because the duck à l'orange scene where the chef is going like, he's making like duck à l'orange, and the ducks fly up to the window, and he goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "It's you with l'orange." And I laughed, but then I also cried because I was like, "Oh my god!" It just made me empathize. So we went to this movie, and
wait, is his second date or first
no,
date?
This is first date. We never went on another date, but we had been chatting for 3 weeks, okay? Well, we kind of went on a half date before, but I don't really count it. So let's say maybe second date if some people want to count like a coffee meetup, but I don't.
Did he like the film? Did he like the film?
Yes, we both loved the film, okay? But afterwards, it was just kind of like, okay, after we go to the movie, it's all fine. I was pretty excited to meet him, but you go to a movie, you don't talk during the movie, really. And beforehand, he doesn't smoke weed also. So I was like, it's Sunday afternoon. We're going to like a matinee kind of like 3 p.m. movie. We meet up, and I've already like hit my vape pen a bit. I'm kind of baked. It's my day off. I'm like, are we bringing beers into the movie theater, whatever? And he's like, oh no, I didn't get any. I'm driving. I have to go all the way back to Langley. It's like a half an hour drive from where we're moving.
I know Langley.
So yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, so you probably don't want to have a drink. But I was also like, if you want to have a beer, like it's an hour and a half movie, like you can have one beer if I'm going to bring it. But I didn't want to like buy booze and like make him drink. So I like bought a beer, but I never ended up drinking it in the theater because you can open the beer now, like kind of like you can in Sydney. Like I'm pretty sure you can't BYOB, but you can order beer in the theater.
You can order beer, but you can't bring your own. Yeah.
But same kind of in Canada, like you can bring your own, or sorry, you can't bring your own, but you can order from the theater, but you just bring your own anyways. Nobody fucking says anything. So I didn't want to drink my beer though, if he wasn't going to drink one that I brought for us together. So it was kind of already awkward, and you're in a movie, so we had so much good rapport and chatting back and forth and funny conversations, but you don't get to chat in a movie. And then after the movie, we come out, and I'm like, so do you want to go for like, I kind of go like, we're leaving, and I'm like, do you want to go for like happy hour or whatever? I'm just going to use the washroom. And he's like, oh, I have to drive back to Langley. So then the date kind of like ended oddly. I like get back on the SkyTrain, and he walked me up to the SkyTrain. He was also shorter than I thought, but like profile fly. But that didn't bother me anyways, because I don't really care if you're like ugly or short or whatever the fuck. That makes me kind of like you more if you have some interestingness about you. And the lies make me laugh. So I love to call out the lies. Like you said you're 6 feet on your profile, and I'm 5'10", and you're 3 inches shorter than me. So like, what's going on here?
Wait, did you say that to him?
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet you did.
You know I did. Of course.
When you first met him, or in the cinema, or on the way to the SkyTrain?
First time. Because I'm getting off the SkyTrain coming down, and he's waiting for me like at the bottom of the escalator, and I'm looking on my phone. I couldn't see him because he described himself, right? He said he's like almost 6 feet tall. He said he's like 5'11". And so and he's wearing a gray jacket or whatever. I'm coming down, and I'm like, I'm wearing a black jacket. Like he's seen a photo of me. So like, and I'm pretty much like, I'm pretty easy to recognize, honey. Like I'm not a girl that's like, I'm not fatter than I am or taller than I am or whatever. Like, and I'm like waving. I'm like, hi. But I'm looking for somebody that's like 6 feet tall, and this dude's like fucking 5'6". Like what? So I'm coming down the escalator and he goes, I see you. And I'm like, and then he like waves and immediately I was like, don't show it on your face. Hey, how's it going? Like trying not to show like you're short as fuck. But when I came down, I was like 6 feet, eh?
What did he say?
Because I'm coming down, I'm already tall and he's short. So it was like we leveled out and I was like this much taller than him.
Oh shit.
And
what did he say when you said that?
He just laughed and he was like, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Then he went in for a hug. So we like hugged. It was so funny. But he rolled with my like punches in a sense, you know?
Okay, that's good because you are very straight up and that is your humor. And like you said, I don't think you would have lied about anything in profile. So this is a good story for the podcast because it's like a lot of people can relate to. Keep going. What was the other thing you lied about?
He goes, well, he didn't really lie about much else, but he just like wasn't as charismatic in person, like about everything else. So then we go into the movie, like I said, we watch the movie come out, and as we're coming out, because it's next to a SkyTrain station, like you know how the theaters are, like what's the one in Westfield Market or whatever in Bondi or whatever, where you can come out right of the SkyTrain station and walk into the theater. It's like that. So, but there's also a bar right underneath, and there's a liquor store next door, and it was like sunset time. So, because it's January, so it's like 4:30 when we go to the movie. Sunset's at like 4:45, and we're right in an area where there's like you could just easily get a beer and like walk to the sunset. Plus, I already had 2 beers in my bag that I had bought for us. And I'm like, well, do you want to like stay, like kind of like we didn't really have a chance to chat and we had so many good chats and the movie went on. I was like crying and laughing during the movie. It was such a good movie, by the way. Migration's awesome. But then he's like, oh, do you really like that? You like crying? I'm like, yeah, it was so good. Like, I'm so glad we went to that movie. Do you want to like have a chat and walk down to the pier or whatever? And he's like, oh, I have to drive back to Langley before it gets dark. It was almost like he was cutting it off, and it was weird. So then I'm like, hey, fine, whatever. He walks me up to this like SkyTrain station. I'm like, there's no point now. Also, bro, like, go away. Like, just go the fuck away. Like, there's no point in you like standing awkwardly next to me waiting for the SkyTrain when like, I don't know. So we like hug goodbye again, a hug. I'm like, why? And then immediately, as he's literally going down the escalator, he's texting me, being like, that was such a good day. Da, 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 da. Somehow we keep chatting about things, and we get onto like sandwiches and like where we're gonna like go to meet up for our next date. And he's like, yeah, let's go for I'm like, I love a BLT, and he's like, dope, let's go for a BLT. I'm glad that you're not a vegetarian or whatever, or like a gluten-free gal. And I'm like, no, hell no, let's go for a BLT. Dope. And he's like, yeah, I hope you don't have mayonnaise on your sandwich. And I was like, you psycho, like who doesn't have a mayonnaise on a BLT? And he's like, what? He goes, you're joking, right? And I'm like, no. Like, we're texting. So I'm like, wait, what? No.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? No, you're going to have mayo on a BLT. That's psycho. Who doesn't have mayo on a BLT? And he goes, no, mayonnaise is disgusting. Mayonnaise is the worst condiment in the entire world. Anybody that likes mayonnaise is fucked. And I was like...
Is that what he wrote?
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally, like, I hate mayonnaise. Anybody that likes mayonnaise is disgusting to me or something. Like, he didn't say you're fucked, but, like, anybody that hates mayonnaise is disgusting to me or likes mayonnaise is disgusting to me. And I'm like, bro, in my head, I dip mayonnaise. Like, I use my fries mayonnaise, BLT mayonnaise, burger mayonnaise. I actually only put mayo on my burger. I don't put any other condiments. Get relish the fuck away from me. Get me mayonnaise. Get me some aioli. Get me some fucking chipotle aioli. Give me some garlic aioli. Give me some cilantro aioli. Don't get me more mayonnaise. And he's being serious. And I'm like, dude, I'm honestly, when I order these BLTs when we go out for lunch, I'm going to order double mayonnaise with a side of mayonnaise for my fries. And he was like, I'm not going. He was like, I'm not coming or whatever. And I was like, ha ha ha. Like,
wait,
obviously,
he's being serious? He wouldn't go because you would order it? That's a bit weird. You can't, like, not meet up with someone.
He's kind of being funny, but also being like, ha ha ha, no way. Like, I'm not coming if you're going to order a side of mayonnaise with your fries and double mayo on your BLT. Like, we're obviously not going to kiss, LOL. And I'm like, really? Okay, but he clearly hates mayonnaise. And then, basically... the end of the story is the fact that I never saw him again, and his hate of mayonnaise it was the end of the line for me. I was like, what the fuck? You're going to put a stance on something that is so little and so dumb. I've dated dudes that eat like Caesars, like, you know, Caesars, the Canadian version of a Bloody Mary that has clam juice in it.
Oh, it's
and like
so gross.
Fried chicken and stuff. And I've made out with those motherfuckers afterwards because I liked them. I don't care if they have mayonnaise on their burger or fucking want to eat a raw oyster that I don't want to eat. Just because somebody that I'm attracted to and dating eats something that I don't want to eat doesn't mean I'm not attracted to them. And the fact that he was so put off, like, no, you can't order double mayonnaise on your BLT. I'm not, like, that's disgusting. He was so grossed out by it. And the fact that I almost pushed it, I was like, so what if you're having this? What if you're having a Caesar salad with like classic dressing that's made from egg and oil? And he's like, no, I wouldn't order that. Like the conversation literally just spiraled from like us having like, that was a nice date, let's meet up the next time, let's go for sandwiches, let's go for lunch, until like you don't like mayonnaise, I love mayonnaise, fuck you, basically, like the end. But by 9:00 p.m., because I left him at like 4:30 or 5, by that time, by 9 p.m. I was like, fuck this guy. I was like, I'm deleting his fucking number. He doesn't like mayonnaise, and he's not even going to make out with me if I eat mayonnaise. And I don't even know if I'm attracted to him enough to make out with him yet. All over mayonnaise. And this is something that a dating app cannot tell you, which kind of just goes back and solidifies the end of my story, is like dating apps are fucked. And I've been looking more into it. Like 90% of couples that are within the last like 5 years have gotten together, been together for a while, had kids together, did not meet on a dating app. Even though the study says all of us have gone on the dating apps, I've gone on the dating apps. Everyone has. I've gone on dates from the dating apps. I've even hooked up with dudes from the dating apps. Not this dude, but like
clearly.
I hooked up with one. Well, I made out with one dude from a dating app. I guess that's not hooking up, but still, I don't know. They are fucked. They're almost like it's like an ego boost when you're feeling down on yourself and you feel like you need dates, or like you need to feel like you're in the modern world. It's like, okay, I'll go on a dating app. So many people have gotten together from a dating app. Then I think about it. Most people that I know have not gotten together from a dating app. And there is no shame on the ones that have, because I'm sure, Sonny, I'm sure you know people that have gotten together on dating apps and are in a happy couple. But that is pretty rare. And the thing is that that's the anomaly. It's like everything has become online. It's like shopping online. And the thing is that my point about the dating apps,
this is so true,
anyway,
by the way,
is the fact that it's like you're online shopping. You already feel so shallow when you're swiping on a dating app. But then I wish it was almost more shallow, because the apps are trying to make it less. Like, tell me more about yourself, give a voice note, show more, tell more about your life, so that somebody can like shop through or sort through you, or like go use the algorithm to like make you more compatible. But some of the guys that I've been algorithmically the most compatible with, if I met up with them in person, like their profile doesn't appeal to me. I would totally not be attracted to them if I met up with them. And that's what the algorithm says. And the thing is, they're trying to make you like more human, more attracted to less like just shopping, less attractiveness. But at the end of the day, the first thing that humans are attracted to about each other before you even hear their voice or speak or anything is physicality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Period. So some people are super attracted to a 10 out of 10, or like what their idea of hot is. And they don't have to hear them speak. They don't have to say anything. All you have to sometimes see is just a dude or a gal walk by and you're like, bam, I'm attracted to them. But once you talk to them a little bit, or you work up the nerve to talk to them in real life or something, then you realize, like, if you are actually attracted to them or more, then there's a spark, then there's a chemistry. You can't get that online. So I want it to be more like when you're shopping for a dog, and I say shopping, but when you're on adoption sites, because I'm trying to adopt a dog and I want to, but I don't care about breed. I don't care about anything. I could take the ugliest dog, a 3-legged, a Rottweiler, a rabid-looking one that has no eye. I don't care. But at the end of the day, when you go and meet that dog, you might not get along whatsoever.
That's so true. That's so true. And you're right. It needs to be like the organic. It needs to be the organic way where you kind of like you work with someone at a restaurant or you go to a gig and then you meet a friend through someone else's friend and then you don't really know that friend and then you've met that person and that's how people like get along and stuff. Like just the in real life stuff. You're so right. This is a really good story.
Get together. It's not about like, I could write on my profile, I love mayonnaise, I love BLTs, I love the movie Migration, just like going back to the story to make some reference points. I could say I love cats, I love three-legged dogs, I like the news. Like I could write, these are the kind of books I like, this is the music that I like, and I could meet a guy that fits all of those things, and I might not like him whatsoever.
But it's funny you say that, because if you're saying that you write like I love mayonnaise, and then that Mr. Mayo, let's call him Mr. Mayo. Mr. Mayo's on that app that you're on and sees that and swipes you because you wrote that on there. Sometimes that's not sets up. I think that's bad because in real life as well, it's like friendships that you have. Opposites attract. Yes. Sometimes you have a friend or you're in a relationship where you're like, you are nothing alike. How are you guys hanging out? And it's like, I have no idea. We just get along really, really well. So that's why people need to meet in real life, because opposites attract, and you learn from people that are into things that you're not into. Like that's what you meant. You meant to grow as a person. Why should you be matched by an algorithm on an app that it's like, well, you're into this and you're into this, so you're going to get along really well. It's like, well, I don't want to hang around the same people that are like me. I want to hang out with people that are opposite so I can learn new things and like be whacked out,
Exactly. And some people like again, with couples and with friendships, like you were just saying about friendships, that's a perfect example, because how many people that you and I both know separately that are like friends that I would never have, like, especially through hospitality, just because that's a common thread for both of us. I've met so many people through work of all ages too, that I'm actually like close friends with. To be fair, I actually sent an email. This is kind of part of my second story, but an email I sent recently to a woman that I used to work with when I was a teenager. And she was like 45 or 50 when we worked together, and when I was like 16, 17. And she worked for my family's restaurant forever, and she still works in our small town and stuff. And I just, all of a sudden I've always missed her and thought about like how relevant she was to my life as a teenager and stuff. But so I just thought, you know what? I found her son on Facebook, because she doesn't have Facebook. She's an older, now she's like 65 steps. 15 years ago, 16 years ago. It was when I went to Australia and stuff. So that was, 15, 16 years ago. Now she's like 70. And when I sent that email out, and like that was just a hospitality conversation, I just wanted to say, hi, Debbie, like I miss you. How are you now? And have you, I contacted you through your son, just like thinking about you. And she's still one of those people that I would have never just like met at a pub and like had a beer with or something. But she's an old lady that, even was old then when I was 16, 17. And we've just stayed connected through the rest of my life since that period. And I think about her all the time. That doesn't mean that that's like, I could never find her on an app that was for friends, Bumble for Friends, or a dating app or whatever the fuck. The algorithm can't tell you what your chemistry is going to connect you to.
Correct.
Whether it's with a partner, a job, anything. So I've gone through that with jobs as well, or with people or bosses. Like, I've applied for jobs in the hospitality industry that like I've thought, this is going to be such a good job for me. This is the great restaurant. This is like, oh my God, this is where I want to be. This is the location. This is the kind of food I want to serve. This is the kind of wine and cocktails, whatever. Love this. Then you meet the owner or the manager and you're like, oh my God, how could I have thought this was like, once you are in it, or once you're in the culture, or like the uniform or whatever, I don't know. It could be so many different things that factor in. It's a chemistry thing.
It's so fun. It is funny you say that, because I'm like you. And anyone that knows me, I have a lot of friends that are in their like 50s or 40s, 30s, early 20s. And I just do, if I just get along with someone, I get along with them and I click, then I will just stay connected and stuff. And you're right. If you're on an app where it's like, Bumble Friends, I think they have friends where you're trying to meet new friends, you're in a new area, you're going to see someone who's like a 55-year-old person, and just automatically you're like, well, swipe because I'm just like, I'm not 55. I'm not in my 50s. It's like different. But like you said, if you work with someone in hospitality or something like that and you get along with them because you're working with them, you get to know their personalities and then you click. And that's why you do become friends. So apps are just not always the way. And everything's apps these days. It's like,
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like everything's just got a bit, I don't know. It's like the new generation. What are they? Gen Y, Z, whatever that Gen Z. I think they are.
Alpha. It's going back. It's now, I think it's Gen Alpha now.
I just want everything quickly and in the least amount of work and time without doing anything. And that's just how they are now. And it's very lazy. It's very lazy.
And after COVID, I feel like with this exact thing, just because the dating app is something that it's funny for me because I am single and I'm in the kind of mode in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm 32, right? And I want a family one day. I want a partner. I want a boyfriend, essentially. I don't want to be single forever. But also, I'm not willing to go through this app with this kind of Mayo type dude. This is just an example, but like now I call him like, it's like the Mayo date for the Mayo dude because I'm like, it kind of put me off of the apps for a little while because it became like, oh, this was just such a tax. It was like 3 weeks of us texting and having a great time and like a half coffee meetup that went well and then a date that went like shit and then an argument about mayonnaise and BLTs that just ended the entire connection. Like what a waste. But also kind of dodged a bullet, but then it put me off of dating apps for a little while and I was like, you know what? And then I checked back on the Hinge or the Bumble or whatever and just like I said, it's like, oh, I'm feeling down on myself or I'm like, I need a little boost. Check it out. There's all these dudes who are like, oh, I'd love to meet up with you, whatever. And I'm like, okay, sure. But then half the time, 90% of the time, they don't follow through on the dates they ask you out on anyways. So that's another thing. It's like, why do this on a date? Why are we doing everything, like you said, faster and like quickly delivered, like whatever? The things of just going to a bar or going out for coffee and sitting by yourself. Like people have so much anxiety now about social culture, like just going out, just leaving the house. COVID definitely had a bit to do with that, but I think that was breeding before with technology. But like now, just to be by myself, to go out for a coffee, I just take my book and go out for dinner, whatever. I'm on my night off. I'm like, oh, I love that. I look forward to it. And people are like, oh, you're so brave. You go out by yourself for dinner as a woman. And I'm like, how? But then I think somebody that's 25 or 21, that is just so off the books for them. That's fucking insane for them.
Yeah, well, I think I always look at that as an insecurity thing because they're caring what other people are thinking. Like, oh no, what if someone sees me eating this meal by myself or these drinks and stuff? A lot of people do it. Yeah, that's their own insecurity, that they're not comfortable with themselves. That who fucking cares? Like, if someone sees you having a drink by yourself.
It's the younger ones and the older people too. It's the older people on the apps. It's it's everyone that's kind of fed into that culture, being like, we have too much social anxiety to like go and just, you know what, tonight I'm out to meet someone. Like, you know, why is that such a weird thing to say now? Like, do. It's like I'm out, I'm going out, I'm looking, or I'm single, I'm open, I'm looking for dates, or like I'm not looking for dates, but you know what I mean? Like, you're open to socialize with somebody. I'm here to socialize. Like, it's not like I don't need to go to a singles like meetup or like
no, like it's weird. It's weird. I know. What was your second true tall tale?
Well, the second was just kind of honestly about my brother, but like it's a kind of a long one. So are we running out of time or what are we at for time?
You can go as long as you want. There's no filter at all. But like, are you okay to talk about that? Because I kind of know a little bit about the history and stuff. Are you,
It's kind of funny because my brother is a homeless person and it's by his choice. Like he totally is all about it. He doesn't like, he's embarrassed about it. He would love to hear it on a podcast. I'll mention his name. His name is Beau. And if he ever listens to this, because I will tell him about it, he will love that I talked about it.
Hi, Beau.
Hi, Beau. It's a choice, right? Like some people make that choice that this is what I want to, you know, he doesn't believe in rent. So it's one of those things that I think that a lot of us don't think about like that, but he doesn't believe in paying rent. And at its nugget, it kind of makes sense. Like, okay, paying somebody else for a space to live in when I want to live in a property to own or whatever. If you can't afford to own the property, then you have to pay a rent or mortgage. But so he goes, until I can afford to buy something, I'm not going to pay anything. I'm just going to be homeless or camp. He calls it urban camping. So Anyways, that's a different way to designate it, but it's literally just being homeless and camping wherever the fuck you want where other people pay taxes. He also doesn't believe in paying taxes. He doesn't believe in the man. He doesn't believe in paying for the bus. Like, he's the epitome of just like kind of fuck paying anybody for anything. I deserve to be on this planet. And so it's hard for me to deal with, but also
does he work? Does he work? Tess?
No, he doesn't work.
Okay.
His level of work is being a drunk homeless person. That, like, he's just an alcoholic, and I say that with love because I love him. But also, it's his choice of lifestyle. And often we get in arguments because I'll be like, I want this job, or I'm applying for this, or I want, I'm saving for something or whatever. And he's like, Tess, that is so dumb. You should just go outside onto the street and get a piece of pizza. Get somebody to buy it for you. First of all, who's just buying me a piece of pizza out of nowhere? Am I just like asking people, can you buy me that? Can you buy me that? So weird. And most people are like, no, I'm sorry. Like, you can buy your own piece of fucking pizza if you want it. Then he says, once you've eaten the pizza that you just got somebody to buy you, then you write on there with a pen that you've borrowed as well. Get a pen, borrow it from someone. Write, pizza helps and money too, in parentheses underneath on the pizza plate, and then sit there outside the pizza shop with it. Tess, you'll get $100 by the end of the day. You'll be saving towards your goal. You'll be rich. In a week, you'll have that scooter you want. And I'm like, this is just insane. And so the conversations that I have with my brother at the end of the day are kind of my story, because it's just a different mentality. And then, like you were saying earlier before we started recording about rent and just about like living and wages, whatever, people forget that like sometimes homelessness is not a choice, and it's like, circumstances. Rent is expensive. Jobs are like, hospitality jobs, just regular jobs are not the best paying when you're in the lower group. But also, some people do want to just be in that scope. And so when I have conversations with him, he's like, you can always reach out to me. You can always ask me for help. And I'm like, what? What kind of help? But you choose to be in that. He doesn't want to vote. He doesn't want to be a part of the government, but he still wants to be a part of society and culture. And so he's also like, I'm going on dating apps. And I'm like, no, because it kind of filters back into my first story. And I'm like, no.
Gotcha.
No,
okay.
No fucking way are you going on dating apps. No fucking way. Are you taking...
What did he write on his profile?
If I could show you on my phone, which will not like cast to the fucking computer, if I could show you a photo of my brother, and Beau, I love you, but you're disgusting. He is a literal homeless person, like posing outside of his like tent set up, being like, join me here. Whatever. Like, what kind of photos are you posting? And I'm telling you, he looks kind of like me. If anybody's watching on YouTube, he looks exactly like me, but like really a man and rugged and disgusting. With broken teeth and like everything opposite of me. And this guy's on the dating apps. And he's like, well, there's people out there that are going to be on, everyone's on apps, Tess. I'll find a date. And I'm like, no way. No way. I need to hear about it. So I'm basically going to give feedback of this after when I get his stories from his dating apps. I need to hear about this different level. Because I'm already feeling frustrated about my dating app situation. And he's going, yeah, me too. You should see what I'm meeting up with in these days. And I'm like, what? What are you meeting up with these days? Please let me know.
So can you, when you meet up with your brother and then he's got his stories about the dating apps?
I won't be meeting up with him. He's banned from BC, Sonny. He's like very
really?
Criminal. He's very illegal, very criminal, very bad dude. But he's in Montreal and he's like, you should see what I'm meeting up with these days. I'm like, I would love to see. Please send me a screenshot.
Where do they go on? Like, how does he take them on a date if he has no money? And is the girl or the other person are they homeless too, or is that bad for me to say that?
No, it is. Yeah, it's not bad for you to say that at all.
Is there a homeless dating app? No, it's just like
on there. They're on our dating apps, dude. I guess this is what I'm saying. They're on there too.
Right, and what's their But wait, so how does he pay for his phone and stuff like that?
Who do you think pays for it? The government. He goes against one, or he begs for it all day. He's like, you should see how much money I make in a week. He's got a way nicer phone than me, dude. And it's because he's willing to sit all day outside of a liquor store, like making his case. And also he's pretty good at talking shit. I've got to say, he's my brother. So, like, he comes from a family of being able to, like, swindle and sell people stuff. We work in hospitality, so we're selling you food and wine and things that are worth your money. But this dude, he's selling you a story, and he's saying, oh, well, you know, I had pneumonia last year and I got kicked out of my apartment, and fuck, I'm just trying to save enough money for a damage deposit. I have a cat in a shelter, and bam, $50.
Right, got you.
And then he calls me going, I just got $50. I'm taking this chick on a date tonight. And I'm like,
It's the listeners need to hear this. When you do hear from him, definitely message me so you can come back on the show, because I would like to hear that, because that's a whole nother world, like you're telling me now, where when you're saying this, I'm like, oh, this might be awkward, this story, but you're right. That's why you said, no, it's a funny story. And I know where you're going. It's got nothing to do with being homeless.
Because my brother would not feel bad about this. He's not going to feel bad. He feels great about it. He's proud of his situation. Like, he's just like, yeah, he thinks you and I are idiots. Like, in a sense, like, if Beau was right here beside me having this conversation, he'd be like, you're fucking dumb. I can't believe it. And then half the time he's like, I'm not paying for a date with a girl that I just met up with for the first time. Fuck that. She can pay for her own beers. If I really like her and if I really want to get in her pussy, then I maybe will buy a tall can for her.
And you're so right as well. What's their bio say? All their pictures.
Like 100%. That's exactly what he would say. If I really am going to fuck her pussy, then I'm going to give her a tall can, maybe, if she's good looking enough. And I'm like, she's a homeless chick. Or she swiped on a homeless dude, so she's borderline homeless. Or like, what? This is a whole different level, Sonny.
It's a whole different level. That's what I'm saying. Now I know why you're speaking about this on the True Tall Tales, because it's kind of like, it's a whole true story. That's a world that we don't know about, and I kind of want to know about it now. And like, it's
not taking away from any homeless people people that live on the streets and are in shitty circumstances that were not their choice. I am merely speaking about somebody that has chosen this.
Okay,
my brother is not like. He's capable. He has all four limbs, a capable brain. He's very smart. He's very manipulative. He's capable of manipulating the government. He gets government money all the fucking time. He's banned from 2 different provinces in all of our country. Like, it's like Australia. Imagine if you're banned from the entire state of New South Wales. You can't go there. Beau has done so many crimes and escaped from them, run from them, done stupid things on purpose that are actually so dumb that he's like, oh, well, after 8 years, they're just all going to wipe my record anyways. Then I can go back to BC, no problem. And I'm like, no, literally, he is the biggest crook on, it's hard to say that I know there's not, like, of all the homeless population, my brother, he inhabits a small percentage, but there's a few that are like that. They're hustlers, they're smart, they're not dumb. He's a white man in Canada. You have all the privilege that you possibly could have, and you also come from circumstances that you could have gotten grants for education, loans, a car license for free, all these things, and he doesn't want it. He just lives in a different realm than others, and I think nobody talks about it.
Where do you think, how old was he when he made this decision, and where do you think it stems from?
Like 13, 14. Young.
That young. Wow.
Oh, young.
Wow. I wonder what it.
Like, fucking not go to school. Started with school. School is fucking dumb, and I can get the same education online. I can stay home and game all the time. I can smoke my bong all the time, and my dad will pay me buy my weed, or I can just get money from going to where he'd work at the restaurant every once in a while, like at my grandpa's restaurant and stuff. He'd make enough money to buy weed. Then he'd buy weed for like 2 weeks, and he'd not show up for his shifts. He'd just stay home and play like World of Warcraft or whatever that sniping game was back then. And he would just play games for 2 days. Then he'd go to my grandpa and be like, well, I need to work again. I have no money. And my grandpa would be like, you didn't show up for your 3 shifts in a row. I'm not just going to hire you back. And he goes, well, I'm your grandson. Hire me back. Like full nepotism. And he just expected it like that every single time. So it became kind of like, I don't know where this entitlement started, but young, like 13, 14, 15, like that's when it kind of like sunk in. And then he just decided, like, I never have to go to high school. I'm just as smart as you, and I haven't gone to any high school, no college. You're all dumb for going to get education. I can get the same amount of jobs. When I talked to him about the money that I make at a good restaurant, when I'm making good money, like Michelin star, good restaurant money, and he goes, I can't believe you waste so much time serving rich fucks when you could just make $300 begging in the streets in a day if you wanted to. And it's insane. That mentality started a long, long time ago, and I don't know why. It's a good question, though.
Yeah, it's a good question, because I mean, it must have been like, it could be from like, you know, something was influence of who he's hanging around at the time, like some movie that he watched at such a young age. Look, I'm no therapist, but I'm saying it stemmed from somewhere. You're right, to especially that you're telling me it started from 13, 14, and that's why you're so comfortable about talking about it, and that's why he's so comfortable. How you said Beau's just like, oh no, I'm fine. I'd say that now. Like it's become so normalized where he said no one talks about it, and not all homeless people are like that, obviously, because people come from homeless from, you know, domestic violence, which we're trying to fix, and a lot of reasons, you know what I mean, that women end up becoming, you know, but for his, like you're explaining, it's just your situation. It is your brother, and you're saying that he's made this choice, and there's heaps of people that make this choice and stuff. So okay, that makes more sense. And yeah, you're right. It's a whole other world.
We need to know about the dating, which is why it's a whole layer. When I talk to him, I'm like, oh, I went on this date. It didn't, like, you know, this guy didn't fucking like mayonnaise. I'm just kind of bitching, like, because it's my brother. And at the end of the day, we talk like siblings, like you talk to your siblings or anybody else does. We still talk like siblings. But then he goes, sometimes in the middle of our conversation, whatever, he's like, that's so fucking dumb. Like, I can't believe that, or whatever. He'll say things like, did you pay for your SkyTrain to get there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I can't believe you paid for that, or whatever, you know. He interjects in a weird way, and he's like, but he also agrees. He's like, oh, what kind of motherfucker doesn't like mayonnaise? I wouldn't date a girl that doesn't like mayonnaise either. And I'm like, wait, you date girls? He's like, yeah, I'm on Bumble, I'm on Tinder, he goes, I'm on Tinder for getting my dick sucked, and I'm on Bumble for girls that I want to date. And I'm like, what is the difference? Because you're home. I'm also saying, as you were trying to be delicate, I'm like, as a normal person, quote unquote, I'm like, what is the difference? Like, I'm sorry, but like, are you like, what is this? You're still going on the same sites that we are, but you're also like, oh, I go on Tinder to get my dick sucked. Well, that sounds like a lot of dudes that are like, I've heard of talk about as well. It's no different. I don't think it's actually no different. It's just a whole different level of like people living that I don't even think of. Then he's like, yeah, I took her back to my tent, and I'm like, she was down? Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, it can't be. Not,
he's like, dude,
I shouldn't say the word normal, but it'd have to be someone from around that area that you said he's living in with the tents and stuff. It wouldn't just be like.
Yeah. He goes, I made my tent so bougie. I put candles in there, and I'm like, ooh, dangerous. That sounds dangerous. He's like, yeah, but I had cold beers. I had them in the river for like about an hour before, so they were cool because I was gonna get laid. I was gonna get my dick sucked. And then I brought her back to my tent, and we had like a good time. And I was like, what is this? What is this?
Do you think he's making it up, or do you think it's real?
No, he's not. I know. I've seen pictures. And if I could show you, I would show you. If I could cast this, I will. For the pod content, you can add some photos if you want. I'll add them.
Okay. Well,
the tent
thank you.
In the river. I will send you a photo of the tent in the river that I referred to. If you so want to add them to your little stream.
Is that bad if we put that on the?
No, it's not
YouTube,
at all. Bro, send them to me. He's like, look at this. He's proud of it. Trust me.
Okay, just double checking. But Tess, thank you so much for sharing your True Tall Tales to me and the audience. First of all, the story about Mr. Mayo. That's anyone that can relate to that. I actually was going to say to you, every guest that I've had on the show already, anytime you get a story or another True Tall Tale, please message me and come back on the show. So obviously we, and as in me and the audience, want to get an update on your next dating thing. You might be another Mr. Mayo. I think that would be really, really cool if you come on the show, because unless you don't want to talk about it, but I think it's quite interesting. And I think when you're verbally explaining it to me and someone else is seeing it for what it is.
Long hair. I have a date this week, so the next guy has really long hair, and my brother is yet to get back to me from his recent dating escapades. So I will get back to you in a chat about that.
Okay, so what about we get Tess back on the show as soon as she goes on her new date that's not Mr. Mayo, that has the guy that has Mr. Long Hair, we'll call him, and also we'll get an update of her brother Beau, who is homeless, going on his dating apps and what happens in their world, and we'll get an update on those. And I'd love to have you back on the show to speak about both of those stories or anything. But thank you so much. For anyone that wants to be on True Tall Tales, please send me an email to truetall truetalltalespodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out on any of the socials, TikTok, X, all that jazz, Instagram, or whatever. Would love to hear your story and put you on the show. My name is Sonny Boy. Her name is Tess, all the way from Vancouver, and you are listening to True Tall Tales, and thank you so much, Tess.
You can subscribe to Sonny's podcast.
Okay. Subscribe.